Hello, we're here again in another podcast short video of exemplar leaders. And I have the pleasure to have with me Annette Treebhoobun. Did I say it okay?
You did.
She's the executive director of PILS. Welcome, Annette. A pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here to share your insights about leadership. So, could you first of all tell us a bit about yourself, who you are?
Okay, so I'm Danish. I'm originally from Denmark, and I've been in Mauritius for over 20 years, where I live with my family, my husband and 2 children, and I work at PILS, which is an NGO working with HIV. So we work in Mauritius, in the Indian Ocean region, at international level.
So, okay. So, Annette, what do you believe about leadership development and organizational development?
So I think the two are very interconnected, in the sense that cultural development is generated through leadership development, and for me, for leadership development to be able to generate cultural development, would need to be at a decentralized level. So it cannot just be an offspring of one single person. It needs to be across the organization at very strategic levels for it to really have an impact, to generate kind of a different, or to generate a culture shift.
Okay, very, very true. Could you tell us, as a leader, things that you have done at any level to help your development, or things that have changed your mindset that you are working on, that you are doing, or that you have done or read? Anything that has changed your mindset and help you as a leader?
I think it's an ongoing process. It's not just one single thing. So I think it's a combination of, already taking the interest or being curious to want to develop yourself. I think it starts from it needs to be kind of an internal motivation, something that triggers you to say there's more to it. I can generate this state, but it has to start somewhere. Personally, I think it's my interest in other people and the well-being of other people, so that you cannot create a positive work environment, whether it's a productive work environment or a kind of a positive work culture, if people are not feeling good, if people are not feeling heard, or if there is not a kind of a space where you feel you have a psychological safety. I think that's where, so when I entered into my first leadership role, I'm quite intuition I can sense how other people feel, and so I'm very empathetic. So I didn't feel that it was a very productive environment if people were not feeling good about themselves or their work. So I think that kind of started the curiosity towards leadership development, and from there on I started some courses and started reading up on leadership and cultural development, and then I think so that's kind of very much one path which is traced. But that at the same time, I also felt that I needed something deeper for myself. So I actually started to explore mindfulness, Reiki, which has more a kind of meditative, self-reflective approach. So I think it's a mixture of different kind of recipes, so to say. Then last year I got in contact with New Beginnings for a systemic leadership development course, so or kind of coaching. So I started that, and then recently I did the NLP course, which I think has just given another dimension to this whole experience.
Okay, thank you. Annette, as a leader, do you do things in your organization to develop leadership?
Yes.
Like what, for example?
So I think, again, as I said earlier on, for me, leadership development comes at a decentralized level. So it's about that leadership is that culture concept is developed for, like, at all levels across the organization. So it's whether it's team leaders, department leaders, and myself, and ideally the board as well. There needs to be alignment in that value-based system that we are trying to develop around the culture.
Okay,
does that make sense?
It makes sense. It's very interesting and inspiring. So, Annette, tell me like 2 or 3 things that you do to empower your team.
So, for instance, they are all undergoing training. So, training is a big part of the development of the leadership team in the organization. So, for instance, some of the key head of departments, they have all joined the NLP course, and also they are all having individual coaching by a meta coach, which is a certified meta coach, and then we have a kind of a transversal management group to ensure that kind of we are aligned on that cultural change and that value-based culture that we want to generate. So it's a very slow process, but I think it's important that we make sure that we're all at the same level at the right time, and then slowly move ahead together. So we need to make sure that we meet every person at their level to make sure that we move ahead together. I don't know if that
makes sense, and I'm seeing you do a lot of things to develop your employees. It's very, very good.
Okay, so basically, I think so. The training comes from a team leader or department leader perspective, but it's across the organization as a whole. So we've also developed like transversal group, which then empowers people across the organization to have a safe space where they can come and just talk and share whatever barriers they have or whatever hindrance. So it's really to for us to have that right culture. It's to make sure that there is the psychological safety where people actually feel good.
Okay, 3 skills for a leader. What would that be? Most important ones.
I think it's attitude, emotional intelligence, and vision.
Okay, amazing. Okay, so Annette Treebhoobun, thank you very much for being with us and for sharing these very interesting insights.
Thank you very much.
I hope to see you again.